Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We look at the chapter with regards to hayd, menstruation. So the word hayd, the dictionary meaning of it is a discharge. And according to the Shari Islamic definition, that blood that comes out of the womb of a lady without illness or not from childbirth. That is menstruation, hayd, monthly period. The blood that comes out as a result of illness is called istihada or excessive bleeding. And the blood that comes after childbirth is called nifas, postnatal bleeding. The period of menses is between 3 days and 10 days. And during this period, discharge of blood, whatever color except pure white, will be said to be menstruation. The color being red, black, green, pale yellow, muddy, whatever it is, will be considered as hayd. And that is where the ikhtilaf is with regards to the different madhaib. So one of the areas of ikhtilaf that will come in this chapter is the color of blood. According to the Hanafi madhab, the color of the blood is not considered. And according to A'immai Thalatha, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, Imam Malik, the color of the blood is to be considered. That is one area of difference of opinion. The second area of difference of opinion that will be discussed in this chapter is what sort of relations can a man have with his wife while she is in the condition of menstruation. So from the hadith, it is clear that a man cannot have sexual intimacy with his wife while she is in menstruation. Furthermore, the area between the navel and the knees, there is ikhtilaf as to whether the man can have any sort of relationship that where the touching of that area while the lady is in istihada or while she's in hayd. So that is an important consideration, and that is where the ikhtilaf lies. Okay, so let us begin by looking at the different narrations, and then we will review the aspects which come out of these narrations. So the first thing was that there was extreme view from the Yahud that they wouldn't come close to the lady. So therefore, عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال إن اليهود كانوا إذا حاضت المرأة فيهم لم يواكلوها ولم يجامعوهن في البيوت. It is narrated from Sayyidina Anas bin Malik that he narrates that the Yahud, the Jews, when a lady had her menstruation, they would not eat together with her. وَلَمْ يُجَامِعُوهُنَّ فِي الْبُيُوتِ. They would not live with her in the same house, meaning she had to go to a separate house. فَسَأَلَ أَصْحَابُ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. So the companions asked Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam about this. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْمَحِيضِ. They ask you about the lady who's experiencing a hayd. Surah Baqarah, verse number 222. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم اصنعوا كل شيء إلا النكاح أي إلا الجماع. That you may live with her normally, everything except that you cannot have sexual intimacy with her. So this is the instruction that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave. فبلغ ذلك اليهود. So this reached the Yahud that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam saying that you shouldn't follow their way. what they're doing is extreme to isolate her, put her in the back house. فقالوا ما يريد هذا الرجل أن يدع من أمرنا شيء إلا خالفنا فيه. So they said that this man, meaning Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, does not want to leave anything from our matters except that he wants to oppose it. He wants to oppose it. And then فجاء أسيد بن حذير وعباد بن بشر. So two Sahaba came to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They said, Ya Rasulullah, inna al-Yahud taqulu kada kada afala nujami'uhunna. That the Yahud are saying that, oh, you're doing like this and doing like that, meaning you still keep your wife in the house and you still eat with her, you still sleep in the same bed with her. Can we not do as the Yahud are doing? Meaning, isolate her. So look at how Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam responded. فَتَغَيَّرَ وَجْهُ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم حتى ظننا أن قد وجد عليهما. When they said that they want to separate from their wife, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's complexion changed, his face changed, became very angry. حتى ظننا أنه قد وجد, that we were convinced that now he's angry at them. فخرج, then they then left there at that moment and they went home. And then it says that فاستقبلتهما هدية من لبن إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فأرسل في آثارهما. They went out only to find a gift of milk being brought to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So somebody came, as they were leaving, now a gift of milk was brought to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. فأرسل في آثارهما فسقاهما. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, call the two. Who's the two? What's their names? Luqman. What's the names of the two Sahaba? Yazid, Usaid bin Hudayr and Abad ibn Bishr. فأرسل في آثارهما فسقاهما, and he gave him to drink. فعرف أنه لم يجد عليهما. So from that they came to know that he wasn't angry with them. Wasn't angry with them, yes, he was upset that, that in our deen we mustn't follow what is religious matters of the Jews and the Christians. So that matter was clarified. وعن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت كنت أغتسل أنا والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من إناء واحد وكلانا جنوب. Sayyid Aisha radiallahu anha says that me and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would take a ghusl from one container من إناء واحد وكلانا جنوب وكان يأمرني فأتزر. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would instruct me, because I was in hayd, that I must tie a cloth around my waist. فكان يأمرني فأتزر فيباشرني وأنا حائض. And he would embrace me in that case, even though I was in hayd. وكان يخرج رأسه إلي وهو مؤتكف. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would sit in ittikaf in Ramadan. In which days? Last 10 days, most of the time, except 1 year when he didn't sit and he sat 20 days, the last year. So while he was in ittikaf, he would sit in such a way that his head would be out, or his hair would be out of the masjid. And Sayyidah Aisha would comb his hair and wash his hair. فَأَغْسِلُهُ وَأَنَا حَائِضٌ. And she says that I was in a state of haid. So this is the beautiful interaction between the Prophet ﷺ and Sayyidah Aisha, giving us an indication as to, what sort of a interaction there should be between the husband and the wife, and the power of touch. وعنها, also narrated from Sayyidah Aisha, قالت كنت أشرب وأنا حائض. That I would drink from a utensil and I am in hayd. ثم أناوله النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Then I would give the glass to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then فيضع فاه على موضع فيه فيشرب. What Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do? He would look for the glass. You would look for the place where exactly where Sayyida Aisha drank. The glass is here. He passes it like it now. He looks exactly where the place is. Then he drinks on the same place, meaning he puts his lips on the place where Sayyida Aisha radiallahu anha had drank from. وأتعرق العرق وأنا حائض. And she then goes on to say that while in the state of haid, I would pluck flesh from a bone. أتعرق العرق وأنا حائض ثم أناول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ويضع فاه على موضع فيه رواه مسلم. So you know you have a front portion of a goat or sheep, that bone. So you eat directly from that. So she says she would pick it up and she would eat, and then she gives it to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So he doesn't go on the other side and eat from the other side. He goes to the side where she was eating, and he eats from the same side to show that the saliva, there's no problem with that, unlike the Yahud. وعنها قالت كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يتكئ في حجري وأنا حائض ثم يقرأ القرآن متفق عليه. Sayyid Aisha radiallahu anha narrates and says that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recline on my lap وأنا حائض, and I was in the state of haid. ثم يقرأ القرآن, and he would recite the noble Quran. So meaning that, you know, there may have been impurity there, but the clothing concealing the impurity, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recite the Quran, and there was no problem with that. وعنها قالت قال لي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to قال لي Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to her on one occasion, ناولني الخمرة من المسجد, that give me a small mat. Khumrata is a small mat that was lying in the masjid. So she's فقلت إني حائض, that I'm in haid. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, إن حيضتك ليست في يدك, it is not in your hand. So basically we know that when a lady is in haid, then firstly she cannot perform salah, she cannot fast, she cannot recite Quran, and she cannot touch the Quran, she cannot enter the masjid. So Sayyida Aisha saying that, oh Nabi Allah, I can't go in to get the mat because I'm in the state of haid. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, no, you can go in just putting your hand in the masjid, going in just a portion of your body going into the masjid. Inna haydataki laysat fi yadiki. Narration number 550. عن ميمونة رضي الله عنها قالت كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصلي في مرت بعضه علي وبعضه عليه. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would perform salah on a sheet. Mirtin بعضه علي. He says that on the one hand a portion of it was on me, and on the other hand a portion was, he was performing salah on it, and I was in a state of hayd. So look at that. The immediate point that comes from this is obviously that she is in hayd and there's impurity with her, but her using the cloth doesn't make it impure that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam could perform salah on that. So that is one level. On the deeper level, what we learn from this is also Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't have two cloths, only possessed one cloth. If there were two cloths at the time, he would have used the one and he would have used one. So in this way, it was the wisdom of Allah that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam chose a life of poverty. That Allah Rabbul Izzat sent the angel Jibreel and said, O Nabi of Allah, do you choose to be a Nabi who's a king, or a Nabi who is a slave. And Jibril gestured to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and he chose to be a Nabi who is a slave. And that's why he didn't have food every day in his home. Aisha radiallahu anha says that sometimes a month would go by and the stove was not lit in the home of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Meaning, there's only water and dates, dry food. No wet food, no hot food. And why was this? Hidden wisdom is that no man can say, "No, I'm too poor to be a Muslim." Or that Islam is for the rich. That, yeah, if you got money, then yeah, that's fine, you can be a Muslim. To be a practicing Muslim, you need money. Every person can identify with the Prophet ﷺ, that the poor man who got nothing, who's tying a belly on his stone out of hunger, can also identify and he can say, that is my Nabi, and he lived like how I lived. I'm living like how he lived, and therefore I have no excuse. Al-Faslu Thani, the second chapter. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أتى حائذا أو امرأة في دبرها أو كاهنا فقد كفر بما أنزل على محمد رواه الترمذي وابن ماجه والدارمي وفي روايتهما وصدقه بما يقول فقد كفر. وقال الترمذي لا نعرف هذا الحديث إلا من حكيم الأثرم عن أبي تميمة عن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه. Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever has sexual relations with his wife while she's in hayd, or has anal sex with his wife, or he goes to a fortune teller or an astrologer, then that person has disbelieved by what Allah has revealed to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So there's two situations. One is the man has relations with his wife, but that is because he was overpowered by passion at the moment, couldn't contain himself, so he crossed the line. That is one. The other is he says, no, there's no problem with this. I don't see a problem, and then he does it. So if he says, I don't see a problem, and then he does it, then he is disregarding a law of the Sharia which makes him a kafir. But if he says, no, this is a sin, but I couldn't hold myself back, couldn't contain myself, then in that instance, he's committed a major sin, a makruh tahrimi, but he still remains as a Muslim. The narration goes on, says, فَصَدَّقَ بِمَا يَقُولُ. The person believes what the astrologer or the fortune teller said, then he has disbelieved in what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has brought. So there is a discussion with regards to a kafara. What is the kafara for a man who has relations with his wife while she is in hayd? So the narration is coming further on. وعن معاذ بن جبل رضي الله عنه قال قلت يا رسول الله ما يحل لي من امرأتي وهي حائض. What is permissible for me from my wife while she is in hayd? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, ما فوق الإزار والتعفف عن ذلك أفضل. That you can, if she ties a cloth over the area between the navel and the knee, then you can have relations over the cloth. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. However, to abstain from that is better, because while having that level of relations, the man maybe get very excited and then he may cross the line, and that will lead him to haram. So therefore, it's better to abstain from that also. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا وقى الرجل بأهلي وهي حائض. If a man has relations with his wife while she is in hayd, فليتصدق بنصف دينار. He should give charity of half a dinar. You got to write this down. He's got to give charity of 1 dinar. Okay. So just to give you some Islamic indicators here. Your 1 dinar So 20 dinars, which is the nisab amount for gold, 20 dinars equal to 87.48 grams of gold. 20 dinars equal to 87.48 grams of gold. Got that? 20 dinars is your nisab of gold. That's for gold. So that equals to 87.48 grams of gold. So 1 dinar equals to 4.374 grams of gold. 4.374 grams of gold. 1 dinar equals to 4.374 grams of gold. So Nabi Salsam say that the man, if he had relations with his wife while she's in haiz, he should give charity of half a dinar. So half a dinar is 2.187 grams of gold. 2.187 grams of gold. Now, here comes the catch. 2.187 grams of gold. That is the advice. You had relations with your wife while she's in haiz, give charity of 2.187 grams of gold. Now, how much money is that? 1 gram of gold is 1,300 rand. So 2 grams of gold is about 2.5 grams. So now, here's the problem. Is this compulsory or is it recommended? That is where the ikhtilaf is. So here it comes, فَلْيَتَصَدَّقْ بِنِصْفِ دِينَارٍ, that he should give charity of half a dinar. So it's a big matter. And إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ. Good deeds wipe out evil deeds. So Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Shafi, rahimahumullah, say that this is recommended. It's not compulsory. Recommended to give half a dinar, 2.187 dinars of gold or grams of gold in charity as a means of atonement. Yeah, so that is the atonement. The other imma, according to some narrations, it is compulsory to give that amount. Compulsory, according to some opinions of the mazhab. Okay, let's go further. We move to the next narration, which is وعنه, and narrated also from Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. إذا كان دما أحمر فدينار وإن كان دما أصفر فنصف دينار رواه الترمذي. So what he's saying, that if the blood is red, then it is إن كان دما أصفر فنصف دينار. So here you got a difference in how much you have to give. Ibn Abbas narrates that the Nabi said, if the blood is red, then it's 1 full dinar. That means it's in the beginning part of the menstruation. Then you should give a full dinar, which is 4.374 grams. And if it's towards the yellow part, which is the latter part where the now rounding up, then you should give just half a dinar. The next narration, now this is the last chapter, Al-Fasl al-Thalith. عن زيد بن أسلم قال إن رجل سأل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فقال ما يحل لي من امرأتي وهي حائض. What is permissible for me when my wife is in haid? فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تشد عليها إزارها, tie a cloth over the lower part of her body, ثم شأنك بأعلاها, then you can do as you please with the upper part, meaning that then you can do as you wish. So this gives permission for that one may engage in anything else, meaning taking benefit from any other part of the body, having relations in that regard. And Aisha radiallahu anha قالت كنت إذا حيضت نزلت عن مثال الحصير. Said Aisha radiallahu anha says that when I experienced my hayd, then she came down from the bed to the reed mat. Misal is the bed, Asir is the reed mat. فلم نقرب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم ندنو منه حتى نطهره. That then neither Allah's Messenger approached her nor she came close to him till she was purified. So this was initially before the laws had come down that you don't have to separate. This was in the initial stages before that. So that brings us to the end of this chapter. There's one more masla that I wanted to explain that with regards to the colors. So yes, in terms of the colors of the there's a masla with regards to the release, the discharge of a lady. So you get three types of release, discharge. One is the discharge that comes from what is termed as the farjul khariji, the vulva, the external region of the vagina. The discharge that comes from the farjul khariji, from the vulva, the external region of the vagina. And this is considered pure. A clear discharge that comes from the vulva, the external region of the vagina, is considered pure. The second is farjul dakhili, inside the vagina. The fluid is pure and does not necessitate wudu, istinja. This is if it is clear white. So this is the inner part of the vagina. And then you have the third thing, which is the discharge that comes from the upper part of the vagina, meaning from the uterus. Then this is considered to be impure. And therefore it would be necessary to make istinja. So this masla, what we're discussing, is with regards to clear discharge from a lady when she has a discharge. So it's either from the outer part, the middle part, or from upwards. So from the outer part, it's pure, doesn't break wudu, nor is it impure. From the middle part, which is the vagina area, that is also considered to be pure and doesn't break the wudu. But if it comes from beyond, the higher up, meaning from the uterus section, then that will be impure and that will break the wudu.